Stay with me because in this video, I'm going to talk about the economic climate and the state of men. And we're going to look at the data of what's going on and how did we get here. If we look at the actual data on young men, it's pretty alarming. So, this is a fact sheet that was put out by the Canadian Psychological Association. Okay? Approximately 4,000 people die by suicide in Canada each year. 3/4 of those who die by suicide are men. So 75% of the people who take their lives in Canada are men. Here's where things get even more interesting. If we come to this other article here, physicians often fail to treat mental health issues effectively. Better training and empathy for distinct symptoms and societal expectations men face can help. So if we scroll on down here, same thing. In the United States, way higher suicide rates than women. And yet, men are diagnosed with depression and mood disorders at a far lower rate. I've also seen some research that shows that women are now out earning men in bachelor's degrees in universities in America. I think it's around 60%, but take that with a grain of salt, about 60-40 of women getting more graduate degrees. So you have men that are being less diagnosed for mental health disorders. They're being beaten by women in terms of education, and their suicide rates are way higher. So why do men get missed? A lot of things that people will talk about is like the blame, right? The blame of, well, men shouldn't be toxic. Men should just open up. And when we do this, we place the blame on the individual and we put very little responsibility on the clinical, social, or structural interventions. And interestingly, this article, which is one of the rare ones, says men aren't the problem. The way that we, society as a whole, and healthcare providers specifically treat them is. Now, look at this. Even when men seek care, that care falls short. Data from Canada and the United States found that more than 60% of men who died by suicide had accessed mental health care services within the previous year. They get mislabeled, their needs get underestimated, and they feel like those providers don't genuinely care for them. And that happens because of a gender bias. The founder of cognitive behavioral therapy, Dr. Aaron Beck, said if you think about depression, what is the number one symptom that you associate it with? Sadness, right? You feel upset. Not for men. The number one symptom of depression in men, according to Dr. Beck, was not sadness, it was anger. Anger, frustration, irritability, substance abuse. So when men walk into these clinics and they don't show the stereotypical symptoms, they don't get that diagnosis because the clinician runs the checklist and sends them home. Not because there's nothing wrong with them, but because the criteria was not built for him. So for men, getting to get help in the first place is a challenge because there's so much social stigma. There's a fear of judgment. There's a lack of skills because men haven't been taught how to communicate their emotions. Another thing to realize is that if you tell people we live in the patriarchy and men are supposed to be privileged, then if a man says, I need help, they're gonna, what are you talking? You need help. Like life is easy for you. Are you kidding? Yeah, try being a insert ethnicity or marginalized community member. And what this person or what these men learn is that since childhood, they understand that asking for help is weakness. I must provide, I must perform, and if I'm struggling, I must take care of it myself in silence. Even men who do achieve and maintain a certain level of manhood they perceive as successful are likely to put unreasonable expectations on themselves that can lead to burnout. We know that men put a lot of pressure on themselves to succeed career-wise because society does this. Think about the societal balance towards a man and how much we define their worth by the amount of money they're making, their status, their ability to climb up the hierarchy. So their sense of value is tied directly to how much money they're making. Now, 40 years ago, you can have two people graduate out of high school, get a job at a somewhat decent place, and for a couple of blueberries, buy a home. Now, if you're living in certain parts of British Columbia, Canada, like Vancouver, if you're living in certain parts of California, high school, bachelor's degree, hell, even a master's degree, maybe even a PhD might not be enough to get your own place. That formula that worked for your parents doesn't work anymore, and nobody told you. There's a difference between housing and the income gap. And when men tie their worth to how much money they're making, it seems the reflection is, I'm not doing enough because providing is harder or it's different now than it's ever been. So hard work is not enough, right? This is not about men need to try harder. It's about realizing that there's a different kind of difficulty in terms of financial mobility and moving throughout the transitioning through your social class is harder than ever. So going from low income to moderate income to high income. A pattern that I oftentimes see with clients is if they come in with depressive symptoms, it can be one of two types. Type one is life is fine on paper, but they feel terrible internally. I think about this as a malfunction of the brain. In other words, they don't know why they feel this way. Type two, the trigger is really obvious. I feel terrible. Why? I'm going through a divorce. Why? I just got laid off. Why? Like you can see it in the external world around you. And if the distress is external, there's a thought that the solution must be external as well. And here's what sort of like breaks my heart is that we look at men and we say, fix your anxiety, fix your depression. But that can be so invalidating when the problem is out there. If you hate your job and I tell you to work on your depression so you can stay at your job, is there a chance that you're not the problem? You're fit for that job is. And you not fixing your depression and leaving your job can actually fix your depression instead. Dr. Aaron Beck, the founder of CBT, had something he called the negative triad. Negative views about yourself, the world, and your future. Here's what makes this tricky. If someone says, I'm behind in life, and as a counselor, I go to, no, you're not behind, according to whose schedule, but like fine, like that all there, that's good, right? But also, like, he's right. If you're 30 years old, living at home, can't afford to move out, never dated, if you're comparing yourself to previous generations, you're right. Now, I don't know if we should or shouldn't, but if you were given that formula of here's what you do and this is the success you will come about, that did not happen. I remember studying psychology. I saw a lot of scholarships for minorities. You know what was interesting? I didn't see a single scholarship for men wanting to study counseling. You'd think we want to get women into STEM, which I think is phenomenal. We don't want to get men into counseling or to be kindergarten teachers or to be nurses. Where are those initiatives exactly? Not existent. So really what I wanted to do today is to share this is not an individual problem. This is a systemic issue. What I believe we need is more male therapists and coaches, as well as updated diagnostic models which highlight the uniqueness of different sex or different gender symptoms that they're more likely to present with. I'm very interested in seeing clinics specifically for men. I'm very interested in seeing scholarships for men, especially in those areas that we don't typically see men in, like male counseling scholarships. Dr. Alokanoja pointed this out, and I've never forgotten it. He said, men are the only group that if they suffer, the system will not intervene to help them. Any other group, if there's a minority, we don't tell them, don't be lazy, don't be toxic, do it on your own. We say, hey, let's put some government initiatives towards this to help this group of people. And then there's this idea that, like, well, Daniel, it's their own fault. Men just need to open up. And, like, think about that for a moment. You socialize someone to suppress their needs, to be a provider, to be a performer, to never ask for help. And then now you expect him to just one day have amazing emotional regulation skills and to be able to communicate and articulate his thoughts. For years, we told men that they are wussies if they engaged in crying or being sad or being vulnerable, and the only emotion that was okay was anger. And now we tell them that very emotion is toxic. So what can you do? Number one, realize if you're a man, this video has been about you, it is genuinely harder. Economically, it's harder. You are allowed to grieve the life that you were promised. If you thought it was going to be easy and you were just going to get a summer job and then move out and go traveling regularly and not have to worry about being $200,000 in debt for a student loan, it is way worse now than it's been, especially economically for young people. And this is not the time to check out. The time to check out was 40 years ago when you could screw around for 10 years, not get a bachelor's degree, still get a somewhat decent job with good pension, and get a nice house. That margin of luck is gone. We are in a different world, so we need to recalibrate. We're going to the same destination, but we're just going to have to go down different routes. No matter the economy, no matter the president, no matter the housing market, you have a choice. You can send one resume, make one call, reach out. It's not about trying harder. It's not about telling you you need to become more. It's about saying no matter what happens in life, in the economy, with inflation, with geopolitics, you can always choose when you wake up in the morning, what attitude are you going to take? To throw in the towel and to say, it's over for me. I'm 26, I'm living at home, I'm done. That's a choice. And if you believe you can always choose your attitude, then you can make a difference in your life. To quote Ali Matu, it is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. If you know a man in your life who's carrying this pressure or who may be carrying it silently, share this with them. Reach out to them. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.